Did Prince Harry lie to stay in the United States? And is he about to get kicked out? It's the question burning through headlines, political debates, and royal fan forums. What started as a fairy tale escape from Buckingham Palace has spiraled into a full-blown media storm. With lawsuits, leaked documents, and money mysteriously vanishing, the royal rebels are now facing their most brutal reality check yet. My name is Lola.
In March 2024, Trump brought up Prince Harry's deceitful visa application during election season. He vowed to deport the British royalty for failing to disclose about his drug use. And now that Trump is in power, he's being urged to pursue on his promises.
When Harry and Meghan first broke away from royal life, it looked like the ultimate power move. They weren't just stepping back. They were stepping up into a world of media deals, public platforms, and big money. Netflix dropped a jaw-dropping $100 million, Spotify inked a podcast deal, and the couple became fixtures in Hollywood's elite circles. For a hot minute, it felt like they had the magic formula for post-royal success. But the sparkle faded fast. Spotify cut ties, with one exec even calling the couple grifters, a brutal slap in the face for a brand that prided itself on authenticity. The Netflix deal? Still limping along with little to show for it. And Meghan's lifestyle brand? Let's just say it made more headlines than sales. The real red flag? Their hustle never matched the hype. Insiders say Meghan wanted Kardashian-level influence without the grind, and Harry seemed caught between royal legacy and Hollywood fame. The public started to notice, and so did investors. The empire they were building on perception started cracking under the pressure of reality. One of the most controversial chapters in Harry's post-royal saga is his fight for UK taxpayer-funded security. He stepped away from the monarchy, moved thousands of miles away, trashed the royal family on global television, and then demanded British protection when visiting home. That's like quitting your job and still asking for company benefits whenever you drop by the office. What's more, Princess Anne doesn't even have 24/7 protection, and Prince Andrew lost most of his after his own scandals. So for Harry to expect special treatment? Yeah, that didn't sit well with anyone. Not the public, not the press, and definitely not the palace. The situation turned legal fast. Harry launched a lawsuit against the UK government, claiming the decision to deny him protection was unfair. But critics argue you can't have it both ways. If you choose freedom, you accept the cost that comes with it. Demanding security after leaving duty behind feels less like safety and more like entitlement. And that narrative is getting harder and harder to defend. Things got even messier when Harry casually admitted in his memoir that he used illegal substances. Everything from cocaine to psychedelics. Problem is, that kind of confession usually spells disaster on a US visa application. And now, a conservative think tank is demanding the Biden administration release his immigration files. If Harry lied on his visa application, that's not just embarrassing. It could be grounds for deportation. And if he told the truth and still got in, people want to know what kind of strings were pulled behind the scenes. Did his royal title open doors that should have stayed shut? The silence from the White House has only fueled more speculation. Add in the couple's open support for democratic causes, and some critics are accusing the administration of playing favorites. It's no longer just a political story. It's a legal and ethical powder keg that could explode at any moment. While the headlines once painted Archewell as the couple's charitable crown jewel, the numbers tell a different story. Reports show Harry and Meghan logged just 1 hour a week working on it. That's less than most people spend binging reality TV. And donors? They're pulling out faster than ever. Even Meghan's lifestyle ventures haven't escaped scrutiny. Her jam line sold out in minutes. But insiders whispered that there were barely any jars to begin with. More PR stunt than profit stream. Add in rumors of Oprah donating before their bombshell interview. And it all feels a little too polished to be real. Archewell's donation reports have slowed. Internal projects are on pause, and even staffing is frozen. The illusion of a thriving enterprise is unraveling, exposing a bare-bones operation running on reputation alone. In a world where transparency is everything, this royal couple is starting to look more like brand managers than philanthropists. Harry once had a golden reputation when it came to charitable work. His involvement with African organizations like Centabale and African Parks was praised across the board. But recently, even those ties have started to fray. Centabale's new leadership flagged internal mismanagement, citing Harry's increasing detachment and tarnished public image as obstacles to fundraising. Donors began ghosting, support dried up, and the charity's momentum hit a wall. African Parks hasn't fared much better. While Harry still sits on the board, the group now faces backlash over alleged human rights issues, namely the displacement of indigenous communities. Now, instead of being seen as a passionate ambassador, Harry's name is viewed as a liability. And that's the part that stings. Because when even your passion projects stop being safe havens, the question becomes, what do you actually stand for anymore? Behind the palace walls, King Charles has reached his limit. When Harry first left the UK, Charles reportedly spent millions covering his son's security and transition expenses. But that well has officially run dry. Sources close to the royals say Charles isn't just frustrated, he's worried. Not about the drama, but about what happens when Harry comes crawling back, not for reconciliation, but for resources. That's his biggest fear. That his son's return won't be about family, but about money. And Charles isn't alone. The entire monarchy operates on service, duty, and public perception. If you abandon those values, you forfeit the benefits. Harry seems to think the perks are for life, but Charles knows better, and he's not opening the royal wallet again. As the monarchy shifts into a leaner, more modern operation, Harry and Meghan's absence isn't just noticeable, it's defining. With the focus now squarely on William, Kate, and their children, the royal family is slimming down. But that streamlining has its consequences. Charlotte and Louis may be just kids now, but insiders wonder whether they'll be expected to take on full-time royal duties down the line, or be allowed to live privately. That uncertainty only highlights how disruptive Harry and Meghan's departure really was. They weren't just a tabloid sideshow. They were part of the future until they weren't. Meanwhile, Harry's relevance continues to fade. Polls show the couple's popularity plummeting in both the UK and US, while William and Kate's numbers remain rock solid. The public is tuning out the drama and tuning into the royals who actually show up and do the work. Love it or hate it, the royal family is one of the UK's biggest economic drivers. Tourism, merchandise, documentaries, and international events tied to the monarchy rake in billions every year. Reports suggest the institution generates over £2.5 billion annually, against a cost of just £500 million to taxpayers. That's a profit margin most businesses would kill for. Harry and Meghan might have thought their royal connections could power their personal brand indefinitely. But what they missed is that the real value isn't in the titles, it's in the service behind them. The public doesn't just pay attention because you're royal. They invest because you represent something larger than yourself. By stepping away and constantly criticizing the institution that made them famous, Harry and Meghan alienated the very engine that could have sustained them. In trying to take the crown global, they forgot that its strength lies in tradition, not disruption. At first, Harry and Meghan controlled the story. They had Oprah, Netflix, and the global press hanging on their every word. But over time, their message became muddy. Were they victims, activists, entrepreneurs, royal rebels? The public got whiplash from all the mixed signals. Meanwhile, inconsistencies started piling up. They claimed a desire for privacy while signing million-dollar content deals. They spoke of service, yet their actual hours worked were barely a blip. Public sympathy shifted to skepticism and eventually indifference. By the time the Spotify execs slammed them, it was clear. The narrative had slipped from their hands. They went from cultural disruptors to cautionary tales, and their media strategy, once seen as genius, was now viewed as chaotic at best, manipulative at worst. As 2025 unfolds, it's clear the fairy tale has fractured. The once dazzling image of Harry and Meghan has dulled under the spotlight they sought. Friends turn critics, deals turn dust, and reputations once golden now hang by a thread. The press no longer plays along. The Hollywood elite have started whispering behind closed doors. Even former fans have begun to question the authenticity of the couple's motives. Meghan's lifestyle brand fizzled. Harry's lawsuits dragged on. Their message lost its power. And now, as King Charles draws firmer lines and the palace grows quieter on Sussex-related matters, a new chapter is forming, one without Harry and Meghan at its center. The world moved on. Royal watchers turned their attention to the next generation. And the Sussexes? They became a cautionary tale in the age of image and influence. So what's next for Harry and Meghan? Reinvention? Retreat? Or a desperate grasp at relevance? Whatever it is, one thing's for sure. Once you give up the crown, it's nearly impossible to get it back. And while their departure from the royal family was framed as a brave stand for independence, many now see it as a missed opportunity. They had the world's attention, a fresh start, and a global platform. But instead of building bridges, they burned them faster than anyone expected. Even longtime royal critics began to question if Harry and Meghan were really the heroes of this story, or just playing a different kind of game. Let's rewind for a second and think about how all of this could have gone differently. Imagine if Harry and Meghan had actually stuck to a quiet life out of the spotlight. No Oprah special, no tell-all memoir, no lawsuits or podcasts or production company drama. What if they had simply focused on genuine philanthropic work, laid low, and rebuilt trust slowly? The public might have warmed up to them. Hollywood might have continued rolling out the red carpet. And the royal family, well, they might have at least left a seat at the table open. But instead, every choice seemed to double down on division. Every move shouted independence while quietly chasing approval. And that's where the disconnect grew. Instead of building new legacies, they seemed to obsess over rewriting the old one. Meghan especially leaned into the narrative of being wronged by the monarchy, pushing a modern feminist spin. But the public started to see through it. Her moves didn't always line up with the message. Empowerment speeches were undercut by celebrity brand launches. Feminist mantras were dulled by reality TV aspirations. And Harry, well, he just seemed caught in the middle, wanting to protect Meghan while also clinging to his royal roots. The result? A confusing brand built on contradiction. One foot in Montecito, the other stuck in Windsor. That lack of clarity hurt them more than any tabloid ever could. And so the fairy tale got tangled. Not by villains in crowns or evil stepmothers behind palace gates, but by two people who couldn't decide what they truly wanted. There's also the question of allies. Where are they now? Remember when Serena Williams, Tyler Perry, and Oprah Winfrey were all reportedly part of Meghan's inner circle? Fast forward to now, and it seems those connections have cooled. Quietly, subtly, but definitely cooled. Tyler Perry's BET speech didn't name names, but everyone read between the lines. Oprah? Radio silence. No more glowing magazine profiles. No more curated interviews. And Serena? Even fans noticed the lack of birthday shoutouts and public support. In Hollywood, silence is louder than a headline. When the cameras stop clicking and the invitations stop coming, it speaks volumes. It's not that people hate Harry and Meghan. It's that they're tired of the drama, the unpredictability, the endless headlines that feel more like reality TV than reality. Even the networks have started pulling away. Netflix may still have some deals in place, but they're no longer the golden couple of streaming content. Executives have begun asking harder questions. Is the brand still profitable? Is the risk worth it? Meanwhile, up in Montecito, the mansion still stands. But the empire they hope to build on reputation alone? That foundation's starting to crack. Because in an industry built on relationships, when the phone stops ringing, it's not just awkward, it's career-ending. And now, the silence around them is more telling than the stories ever were. The spotlight they craved is slowly dimming, and they've got no one left to blame but themselves. Let's talk about Prince Harry's legal crusades for a moment. In a world where most celebrities try to avoid lawsuits at all costs, Harry seems to run toward them like they're a badge of honor. From suing tabloids to going after the UK government over security, his court calendar looks more packed than a royal itinerary. Sure, he's made a point about press ethics and privacy, but at what cost? Legal battles drain time, money, and goodwill. And for someone who says he wants peace, Harry's sure been stirring the pot. The British tabloids haven't gone away. In fact, they've only gotten more vicious. But it's not just the media. These lawsuits have fractured his image even further. Some fans see him as brave. Others see him as bitter. And the royals? Let's just say the Christmas card list probably got a lot shorter. What's more telling is how these lawsuits often feel reactive. Instead of building something new, Harry seems fixated on fighting the past. It's like he's trying to rewrite history one court filing at a time. And while that may offer a momentary win, it doesn't create lasting legacy. Add that to Meghan's struggles to launch successful brands, and you've got a duo constantly in defense mode. The empire they envisioned, built on media power, activism, and elite connections, is now more about survival than growth. They had the spotlight, the platform, the opportunity. But instead of rising above the noise, they became part of it, and now they're drowning in it. There's also the question no one wants to ask out loud. What happens if the money truly runs out? It sounds dramatic, but the signs are all there. Frozen hiring at Archwell, stalled projects, sudden shifts in PR strategy. It's not just smoke. It's the early signs of a financial fire. Luxury comes at a price. Their Montecito estate? That alone could cost millions a year to maintain when you factor in property taxes, staff, and upkeep. Add in security, travel, and PR, and we're talking about a burn rate that would make even Hollywood execs sweat. And with no consistent income, no blockbuster Netflix hits, no thriving product line, no stable donor base, how long before cuts have to be made? Downsizing the brand? Selling the house? Asking the royals for help again? People close to the couple say they're scrambling behind the scenes to diversify. Meghan's reportedly exploring podcast revivals. Harry might be looking at more memoir-style projects. But when you've already spilled the tea once, can you really do it again without it going cold? The financial unraveling isn't just about dollars, it's about image. Once the world smells desperation, the mystique disappears. And if Meghan and Harry built their brand on being aspirational figures, what happens when they look more like a cautionary tale than a dream? It's a question no publicist can spin. And if they can't fix the money problem soon, the headlines will go from fallout to foreclosure real quick. So where do they go from here? The Sussex saga isn't over. It's just entering a new chapter. One where fame doesn't guarantee favor and sympathy wears thin. They'll have to fight harder for relevance, but the tools they once used, shock, confession, and critique, don't hit the same way anymore. If they want to rebuild, it's going to take more than curated interviews and luxury launches. It'll require humility, consistency, and actual service, not sound bites. It means showing up for the causes they claim to care about, doing the work without a camera in sight. Will they do it? That's the big question. Meghan's PR instincts are sharp, but even the slickest rebrand can't erase history. And Harry's journey, once so full of promise, now feels like a long walk through shadows of his past. But maybe, just maybe, there's still a way forward. If they can silence the noise, focus on real impact, and stop trying to play both sides, royalty and rebellion, they might still carve out something meaningful. Not as icons, not as victims, but as people who learn the hard way that fame without foundation crumbles fast. Until then, we'll be watching. Not with awe, not with envy, but with curiosity, wondering what twist comes next in this royal reality show gone rogue.